36 three-ball juggling patterns. Now before we get started, there's a couple terms we need to know, such as the flash. This is the foundation of all juggling patterns. A flash is when you complete one time around the intended juggling pattern. A flash of 3 balls is 3 throws and 3 catches. If I were to juggle and flash 5 balls, I would make 5 throws and 5 catches. And always remember that each throw should be equal in height. Qualifying is to throw and catch each ball through the intended juggling pattern 2 times. If I were to qualify 3 balls in a 3-ball pattern, I would make 6 throws and 6 catches. If you can master the flash and master qualifying, you can pretty much juggle any pattern you choose for as long as you like, or until your arms fall off. When learning, many people tend to lift their arms while they juggle. This is a bad habit. In general, you should keep your elbows relaxed, your arms down and by your side. When you catch a ball, it should land softly in your hand. Don't squeeze too tight and don't hold on too loosely. Get comfortable throwing the ball up and down and back and forth between your hands. Concentrate on each throw going the same height. The 2-ball flash is the foundation for learning how to juggle 3 balls. First, throw one ball up and to the other hand. As it hits the top of its throw, you throw the opposite ball up and underneath the first ball to the other hand. Do this starting with the left and the right hand. Once you've mastered 2-ball juggling, you're ready for 3-ball juggling. Let's start off with the flash. Always master the flash. Basically what you're doing is throwing one ball up and the other ball underneath the first ball. You take turns doing this with each hand. In your mind you might think up, under, up, under, up, under. Make sure to juggle in a 2-dimensional plane and always concentrate on even and smooth rhythm. A little tip on the outside throw. Concentrate on bringing the ball down a little bit further than normal before you throw it to the other hand. Also, be patient. A lot of people tend to rush this pattern. It's simply going on the outside instead of underneath. Once you've mastered one side, concentrate on mastering the other side as well. On the 1-ball crossover, the rhythm is over, under, under, over, under, under. A hint on the outside throws with both hands: you really want to concentrate on keeping your elbows by your side and be very patient with each individual throw. If you've mastered each individual hand thrown on the outside, this should come pretty naturally. In the 3-ball shower, one hand is doing all the throwing. So depending on which hand is throwing, concentrate on keeping that elbow by your side. Also, get comfortable with passing between hands very quickly. Rhythm is very important on the 3-ball shower. In your head you might be thinking click, 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 or counting some type of rhythm in your head to help you better keep the pattern. Cross-hand juggling is a little bit more complicated than our previous patterns. Basically, you're crossing your hands and juggling the 2-ball pattern. You're exchanging each ball between both hands one at a time. Really concentrate on just throwing 2 throws and getting comfortable with the flash. This may take a while to get comfortable with. You should learn to cross-hand juggle on both sides. This will help us learn some patterns we're going to see a little bit later. Start with the same exercises as you did with the original side. This is a half Mills mess. Once again, you start with cross-hand juggling, and for 2 throws you uncross your hands while continuing to juggle. This is a little bit more complicated, so it might take some time to figure out. Use this video as a reference, and remember, concentrate on rhythm and keep your elbows by your side. This is a full Mills mess. It's one of the most popular patterns in 3-ball juggling. Basically, you're alternating between left-hand juggling and right-hand juggling. It's very important to master the flash in this pattern as it is more complicated. If you've mastered left hand and right hand juggling, it will help you tremendously figure out this pattern. As you gain more control of the Mills mess, you can concentrate on going side to side and juggling a little bit lower. The pattern looks a lot more fluent this way. The underthrow circle is a little less complicated than Mills mess, but has to be executed perfectly to make the pattern look smooth. Basically, you're crossing one ball underneath the other hand and throwing it repeatedly to form a circle. As you gain more control of this trick, you can lower the pattern to increase the speed of the circle. The 1-up, 2-up columns pattern is pretty straightforward. Concentrate on keeping your elbows to your side and on a very smooth and even rhythm. Once you've mastered the 2-up, 4-up pattern, you can do the crossover pattern, which is basically just crossing the 2 balls over the top of the 1 ball. As long as you have control with the 2 even balls, you can throw the 3rd ball in whatever pattern around those 2 balls you choose. Chops is a very dynamic juggling pattern. Let's start with one side. The important thing to remember is as you throw the bottom ball, you should start your chop. The chop should go over the ball you've just thrown. Once you've mastered both sides of the chops, you should try to chop one right after the other from both sides. Although this pattern is very quick, concentrate on keeping a smooth and consistent rhythm. When you grab the ball at the top of its throw and quickly pull it down, this is called clawing. You should take some time to perfect each hand in clawing. Once you've mastered each hand, this is what the clawing pattern will look like. To learn the invisible string pattern, first become very comfortable with 2 balls in one hand. Do this in the outside circle and side by side. Once you do this, you can put the 3rd ball wherever you want in the 2-ball pattern. This will also help when learning 4 balls. Although this is a 3-ball pattern, as you can see, you're only really ever juggling 2 balls. The machine is a complicated juggling pattern. It revolves around the 2-ball in one hand pattern. What's happening is you're juggling 2 balls in one hand, and every other throw you grab the ball, take it to the side, and place it back into the 2-ball in one hand pattern. The lift-up circle pattern is the same as the machine, except for you lift the ball up in every throw instead of every other throw. When learning overhead throws, start out just like you did when you learned the regular 3-ball pattern. Start by throwing 1 ball back and forth, and then moving on to the 2-ball flash pattern, and eventually mastering the 3-ball flash pattern over your head. In general, it's important to think about bringing your hands down by your chin after every throw so you have a long and consistent throw. This will also help you maintain a consistent rhythm throughout the pattern. Back crosses are simply throwing the ball behind your back while juggling. Just like the fundamental process of learning 3 balls above the head and below the head, start with 1 ball behind the back, growing more comfortable and consistent with the throw. When you've perfected that, start with 2 balls in each hand, throw 1 ball behind the back, and do a 2-ball flash as the ball comes down. Learn and perfect this on both sides. Once you're comfortable with that, try juggling 3 balls and throw 1 ball behind your back while continuing to juggle the 3-ball pattern. Make sure that you practice throwing your left hand and your right hand behind your back. Once each side becomes comfortable to you, you can proceed to throw multiple throws from each side, still practicing both the left hand and the right hand behind your back. Now you can proceed to throw one hand immediately followed by the other. This is a 2-ball flash behind the back. I would spend a lot of time getting comfortable with this pattern. You want to be able to control each throw and know exactly where you're going to throw it. Once this is mastered, you can move on to the 3-ball flash behind the back. Once again, this is the foundation. If you master this, you can run 3-ball back crosses as long as you choose. It's important to master a skill before moving on to a more difficult skill in order to maintain the proper technique to learn each more advanced skill. Once you've mastered 3 balls behind your back, you can try throwing 1 ball very high behind your back, spinning around, catching that ball, and continuing to juggle behind your back. Multiplex throws are when you throw more than 1 ball at a time out of 1 hand. Control is very important with multiplexes, so take some time to really master throwing 2 balls in 1 hand. You can progress to the multiplex flash as you get more and more comfortable. Your arm will operate just as it's doing a 2-ball in 1 hand pattern, but your fingers will toss the top ball quite a bit higher, so there's a lot of wrist action in this throw. The more you practice it, the more you'll get a feel for this. Head juggling is very visual. This pattern revolves around the 2 balls in 1 hand pattern. All you really do is lift 1 ball up, put it on the side of your head so it rolls off, and continue the 3-ball juggling pattern. If you're strong at juggling 2 balls in each hand, this pattern should come pretty quickly. The U. This pattern actually looks pretty basic, but it's one of the more difficult 3-ball skills you can do. Start by throwing 1 ball up out of the hand and exchanging the bottom ball between both hands. It may take some time coordinating throwing up and back and forth at the same time. When you get comfortable with this, you can do a flash of the U pattern. Throw 1 ball up, the bottom ball between both hands, and the other ball up. Spend some time on the flash with this pattern. As you become more comfortable, move on to qualifying. The more comfortable you become with this pattern, the more control you'll have over how high or low you juggle. This pattern looks quite a bit different when you juggle low compared to juggling it high, and that takes control. The U reach under is quite a bit more complicated than your basic U pattern. Actually, you have to watch the video close. What's really happening is rather than throw 1 ball straight up, you throw the ball to the outside a little bit, and as it comes down, you reach under the other hand to grab that ball and continue juggling the U pattern. It might take a while to get comfortable with this pattern, but make sure to practice on both sides, as this pattern looks much better when it's done alternating between each side. For the neck catch, you have to time the ball as it hits your neck. A couple things to remember is try to put your arms out to the side as the ball lands on your neck and lift your head up. That will actually help cause a little pocket that the ball will fall in as it lands on the back of your neck. As far as throwing it back off your head, well, that's just practice. Backhand catches are a little bit easier if you have flexible wrists. One thing to remember is you should reach down when you catch the ball backhanded. Don't raise your arms to the side. Once you get more comfortable going back and forth between backhanded catches, you're ready to move on to juggle 3 balls and catch 1 ball backhanded. You should learn this in your right hand and left hand. As you get better, you can start doing multiple catches between both hands, and eventually you can move on to where there's no intermediate throw and all you do is catch backhanded. Pirouetting is when you spin around while juggling. It's very important to control the spin so you can catch the balls better as they come down. First, start by juggling 3 balls, throwing 1 ball high in the air, spinning around, catching it, and continuing to juggle. It's very important to control the height of that ball. Once you've done that, you can move on to the 2-up pirouette, where you throw 2 balls in the air, spin around, and continue juggling. It's very important that the balls go equal in height as you throw them. Move on to the 3-up pirouette. This is when you throw all 3 balls up, spin around, and continue juggling. It's very important that they go up at the same height and come down one at a time. A good drill for this is to juggle 3 balls, throw all 3 up, clap, and continue juggling the 3 balls. A half pirouette is very much like the full pirouette, except for you're only turning around halfway. You'll also have to throw the balls behind you. It's very important to throw all 3 balls before starting your turn. You want to square up. Rhythm is very important, just like a 3-up pirouette as well. 3 balls in one hand takes a really good rhythm. Start off by trying a solid flash, moving on to qualifying, and make sure to concentrate on both hands as you juggle 3. In a 2-stage pirouette, you're actually turning around 2 times. What you do is throw all 3 balls up, but the 3rd ball goes much higher. You spin around once, catch the first 2 balls, spin around a second time, and catch the 3rd high ball, and continue juggling. In a rear catch, you throw 1 ball over your head and behind you, reach down between your legs, and catch the ball. The next step is to throw all 3 balls up. The first ball goes back over your head behind you, the other 2 balls go straight up very high. Reach down between your legs and catch the ball as it goes behind you, look up and catch the other 2 balls, and continue juggling.